Welcome to the Queer Confidence Podcast, the podcast to help you become your most confident queer self. I'm your host, he, she, they, Coach Alex Ray, and I haven't always been this confident. In fact, I used to be super insecure. And through this show, I want to share with you what's worked for me, my clients, and my guests so that you can become more confident. Hey, unicorns! How are you? It is good to be back after a nice little trip. I went to the CrossFit Games last week, long weekend, really, and it was so much fun. And as I was preparing for today's podcast episode, I thought, oh my goodness, what a great metaphor to use. So we're going to bring that in. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it. But today we're going to talk about choosing hard. And with this, I want you to realize that in the past, you've already chosen some hard things. And sometimes you chose them and you decided on purpose that, hey, this is going to be hard and I'm okay with it being hard. And your experience of it wasn't all that bad. And then other times you chose the hard thing and the narrative that you kept telling the whole time you were in that hard thing was like, this is so hard. Yeah, but you chose this. Yeah, but it is so hard. Okay, well, you could quit. No. It's what I have to do, and it's so hard. Think back for a moment. Really, I promise you can find an example of each. And what I want you to be able to understand through today's episode is that choosing hard and how you experience the hard is based on a decision that you make. So you can either show up to something hard and decide, oh, I wish it wasn't hard. It shouldn't be hard. It should be another way. It should be easy. It's easier for other people. And you are going to make your experience of that thing very miserable. Or you could choose the hard and get kind of excited about all of the ways it's going to trigger you and the growth that you're going to have through that. So to start out, I want to tell you a little story of my most recent coaching experience. So I shared, honestly, I don't even remember if it was on the old podcast or if it was on this one. So this might be brand new information for you. I think it is. I think it was on the old one I shared this. But I started a mastermind this January. I joined a mastermind with my coach, Stacey Bayman. And she's a coach that helps life coaches make money in their business. So really helps us get out of our own way and sell our service as a coach and really hone in our skills and our messaging and just be the best badass coach that we can be so that we can be here to show up and help you. So she has this mastermind. It's called the 200K Mastermind. And the goal of it is to scale our businesses to $200,000 or more in revenue per year. And joining the mastermind, I had made, okay, let me give you some more facts first. Okay, so the mastermind costs $25,000. And joining the mastermind, I had made just about exactly that amount through life coaching alone in the previous year. I can't remember if I think I had, no, it wasn't just life coaching. I think I'd also factored in there fitness and nutrition coaching that I was doing because I used to incorporate a lot of life coaching into my fitness and nutrition coaching. So I had just you had to have made that in your business prior to it. And I had made that within the 12 months prior to applying. So yeah, it was including my fitness business. Okay. Anyway, so $25,000, right? That is a lot of money. And I did not have that cash to spend. So I was able to get a business credit card that had that balance on it. Like I could charge that much. And I had already had a loan in my business for $16,000. So at this point, I'm at $41,000 in debt in November last year. And money has always been something that was difficult and scary for me. As a kid, my parents talked about us losing the house. They talked about that very frequently when I was a young kid. And so I had this fear that, oh no, we're going to be in danger. But the interesting thing was we never did. We just talked about it a lot, or they talked about it a lot. And so what my brain did with that, and I want you to realize, this story, apply it to your own life. What our brains do as kids is they take scenarios like that and then they make conclusions in order to help us survive. We have trauma responses as kids, right? That is a traumatic incident, right? Where my brain in this scenario was thinking, oh my God, we're going to be out on the street. This is scary. And to deal with that, it decided, okay, wait, it never is happening. So, conclusion, if you look at money, you will be terrified and you will live in fear. So, best solution, don't look at money. Ignore it, hide from it. And this is why last year, I knew that I had trouble with money, organizing money, planning money. No problem spending it. I was great at spending. But I never had any budget or any plan for it. So I'd hired a one-on-one financial coach to work with me earlier in the year, and we got so much done. We worked. It was fantastic. But what came out was, okay, so I invested this in November, right? We don't start our mastermind until January. And then for the first 6 months of this year, I had been, first 5 months of this year, I had been really stressed out about making the money back and how am I going to be able to pay this off? And it was so much so that I wasn't really showing up in a way that was actually selling my service because I was so in my own head about being afraid of how long is this going to take to pay off, which is so interesting because if I hadn't been so afraid and concerned about it, I would have been making the money to pay it off, right? So, what I was doing was subconsciously shutting down. And 5 months into the year, so what is that? June or May? No. Okay, because I think the transition for me happened in June, where I saw it and I went, so 6 months into the year. Yeah. So in June, I said, oh my goodness, this is not working. And my personal finances have gotten way worse. I am not being careful or planning any of my personal expenses. I had done a lot of great work with my financial coach on my business finances, and those felt fine, but I was still avoiding my personal budget and planning money personally. I had a lot of fear when I thought about it. And I went, oh my God, this is the reason that I have shut down when it comes to selling, because my money insecurity became potential clients' money insecurity. Entrepreneurs, listen up. Do you hear that? That your financial insecurity becomes your client's financial insecurity, and they're not going to want to buy your product, your service, whatever. And if you are an employee, it's going to translate to you not even being willing to ask for raises or put in the effort to get the raise because you are so afraid about your finances. You're not going to show up in a way where you are earning more at work or asking for the promotion at work. You're going to start taking your financial fears about I don't have enough and putting those on your employer. They don't have enough to pay me, and you might not even ask. It's so interesting how our thoughts about finances and our fears around it, when we don't take care of it, we end up creating more of the same problem. So in June, I was like, oh my gosh, it is time to handle my own money beliefs. I have got some shit in there that's still stuck, and that's what's been happening this whole time. We also had we had a month, like the second month of the mastermind, where we did this challenge, 25K in 30 days. And that really freaked me out. And I think that was the month that I made the least amount of money in like 2 or 3 years. So why am I telling you this story? I'm sure there are a few lessons that you picked up in there that are really good, but here's the number one thing that I want you to hear. I entered this mastermind in order to figure out how to make more money. And what I had believed was I was doing things wrong and I would find all the answers to do it right. That is not how it works. That is not what's useful about coaching, and that is not even what's a useful way to approach our lives. The useful way that I did not figure out until 5 months in, so 6 months in, was, wait a minute. If I'm triggered, that's where I want to direct my attention. What things trigger me? And I started looking at, oh, wait a minute, I'm triggered in these, anytime money comes up, then I need to go look at my money beliefs and what the stories and things that I believe about money. Ooh, that's so good. For you, I want you to think about when you are choosing hard things to realize that triggers are not a bad thing. What if you chose on purpose to step into scenarios where you were triggered? What if on purpose you got triggered? What if on purpose you then looked at that thing that was triggering to you? What if you started using everything in your life that feels triggering as a radar for where you need to spend a little more time without judgment, just getting to know your inner child in that area, getting to know what they need, getting to know why they don't feel safe, and then addressing those things. My friend, I can tell you what happened in the next 30 days after I started addressing it. Like, it was like gasoline on the fire. Once I felt secure, then I started signing new clients. Once I felt secure, I started showing up so much more confidently online. Once I felt secure, I started showing up in all the areas of my life with so much more confidence, certainty, groundedness, calm. And I was like, what? I had to show up that way before making the money. And I was showing up that way because I was able to provide my own security and safety. By getting triggered, I found the area where I was insecure still. And creating security in that area then allowed me to go make more money later. But it took a couple weeks. For several weeks, I was just like, okay, well, what happens is I now feel confident in it, and I don't need the result of the money to be there yet in order for me to feel okay. And that's the magic for you, my friend. So I want you to think about when you're choosing things in your life, choose the things that are going to be hard, let them trigger you so that you know where and how to grow. And I want to bring in this little illustration from the CrossFit Games too, okay? If you think about working out, you do something hard, then by doing that hard thing, you are showing your muscles what they need to be ready for. You're breaking them down. You're showing them what they need to be ready for. They grow, they recover, and then you keep doing that process over and over and over again. And that's how you train your body to do crazy hard things like they're doing at the CrossFit Games. It is wild. If you've never seen any of it, there's 2 documentaries on Netflix that will inspire you. You will want to just be the most badass athlete in the entire world. It's amazing. But isn't this the same as our minds? You can choose to go through hard things show your brain what it needs to be ready for, step back, recover, and grow, and then do it again. The goal is not the specific achievement. The goal is not accomplishing the thing. The goal for a CrossFit athlete is not just winning the games. What? The goal that you set in your life, any goal that you set in your life, is not the reason to do something. The reason is who you become. A goal is just the testing grounds. The CrossFit Games, winning that was just the testing grounds to test their bodies and to see who they've become. They have become the athlete that is capable of winning the hardest fucking physical competition on the planet. Who you become in the process of heading in that direction towards accomplishing that goal, it's who you become that's the biggest deal. And that is why it's so important to celebrate all along the way, because along the way, before you actually achieve a certain goal, you are constantly evolving to a new person. And every single moment of that, every single little personal step is worth celebrating. Why? Because you're becoming someone different. Right? Yes, fuck yes, celebrate when you accomplish the final goal and you're done with it. But look back at all the goals that you've ever accomplished. You didn't spend a whole lot of time celebrating them. You were like, hey, okay, it's done. Now what's next? What would happen for you if you realized that the goal is only the testing grounds to prove, yes, I have become the person that's capable of this. Becoming this person was always my ultimate goal. Now I have one caveat for you. Be wise in your choice of triggers. Is it something that's going to completely make you freeze or not, right? Or are you going to still be able to keep going? And maybe even if it does completely make you freeze, maybe it's worth it. I will tell you what, for me, that mastermind and being so freaked out in my finances and investing a lot of money and being like very afraid for a while, and that fear, it triggered me. It triggered some trauma responses, and I froze for the entire first half of the year. For 6 months. It was worth it to me. I'm glad that I did that. I would do it again. There are also times that you will decide, you will look at it and you'll say, hey, I'm not up for being frozen for 6 months. That's just not what I want. And that's okay. Choose on purpose what experience you want for your life. Choosing hard things, choosing things that are going to trigger you is worth it because you are worth it. The experience that you get to have in this lifetime, it's worth it. You only get one life that we know of. What experiences do you want to make sure that you get to have? And ultimately, keep choosing hard for who you become. My friend, I will see you next week. Talk soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend so they too can become more confident. You can also help more people find the show by leaving a 5-star review wherever you listen. And if you want to become a more confident queer with support from yours truly, head to coachalexray.com or use the link down in the show notes. I'm looking forward to working with you.